Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Living Astrology with Janet Hickox morning Facebook Live astrology show. Grab your cup of coffee. I got my Gemini cup today. Sit back and let's chat about what is happening up in the sky, not only today, but for the week ahead. And it actually feels like this is a good week, not one that's filled with a whole lot of issues. There are some changes going on in the star's atmosphere this week, but not really anything that should create chaos, unless, of course, it's in your own personal chart that chaos is preferred to peace. I don't have much to talk about. In fact, you know what, this morning, it's so funny. I can't even believe it's 8 o'clock already, or 8:01. I just feel like I just got up and stumbled out of bed, but apparently, the day is already begun, and we're here to chat about it. So we start the week. We start the week with the moon in Leo, and of course, it goes into the void about 2:10 this afternoon, my time. So it'll be likely at the end of the work day for you, at least in the East Coast. You'll be at the end of your day. We'll still be in the midst of our days, and is void until 11:16 p.m. my time tonight, 12:16 a.m. for you all in the morning. So when you guys get up tomorrow, and when we get up tomorrow, we will have the moon in Virgo. That is another one of my favorite positions for the moon, likely because my own personal moon is in Virgo. So I get to experience a new moon when it comes to the moon moving through the sign of Virgo. So how was everybody's weekend? I see Allison out there, and Karen, good morning, and Amy and Rebecca. Great to see you ladies out there. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful weekend. I had a good weekend. My husband was not feeling his best, but I went on to my daughter's house and we did Christmas cookies, and that's always, I don't like to bake. They do the baking, I do the decorating. So actually we all kind of did the decorating, but I love to decorate the cookies. I just don't like sitting there and baking them and rolling out dough and all of that kind of stuff. But I had fun with the decoration of the cookies. And then Sunday was just lay about the day, watching TV, hanging out, I just felt really like I just wanted to rest. And then suddenly it's Monday again. I swear the weekends go by faster and faster. I don't know what that's all about. So as we look at the moon today in the sign of Leo, everything is about individuation. There's a creative energy that's in the atmosphere for today. And literally the creative atmosphere beginning the week takes place throughout the whole of the week this week. So it is a highly creative energy that we find ourselves in through human design in the gene keys. So that takes precedence, I think, in my mind, over what the moon is doing and what the other planets are doing, because the overall energy that that's being beamed to us is about being very discriminating in what it is that we put our heart and our minds on, and let it be the creative energy, something that makes you feel good, something that makes you feel imaginative and creative. Now today the moon is in a square to Mars. That's the first transit that we're dealing with here as we start our days. And the moon square, so the moon in Leo squaring Mars in Scorpio. And excuse me, let me choke on myself. Mars in Scorpio still taking us into that depth, that intensity, into passion energy. So whatever it is that you're intensely passionate about is what Mars wants focus on. The moon in Leo also wants you to individuate, so focusing your energy on what's important to you. Now, the two of them in a square kind of means that there's this potential for us to get caught up in stubbornness or getting stuck or failure to yield kind of energy, right? It's a fixed energy. Both Leo and Scorpio are fixed signs. One's fixed fire, the other fixed water. And you can imagine that if two major elements are in fixed state, what that might mean, right? That there's this stuck energy. Mars doesn't like stuck. Mars is an action planet, and it wants to take action. And so the action here then can be that you focus on what it is that you want to create, and stop getting yourself caught up in your old mind and the old thinking, in all of the old way of behaving out there. You know, here's what it brought to my mind this morning is that uh, the human design sun is at the gate 11 this week, and the human design earth is at the gate 12. And the gate 11 is the gate of light. In its highest expression, it is light, pure light, right? Those photons of energy that come into the planet, the photons of energy that our DNA absorbs and then transduces and turns into the light that shines from within us to outside of us. And you know, the mind can get involved in all of that and create a need for us to, oh, get real, right? Get real, Janet. It's time to do the real things. Like, when are you going to get serious, kind of thing. So I was thinking about this morning because my youngest daughter's birthday is Wednesday. And so I was thinking about how her birthday's the 18th of December, mine's the 19th of June. So we're exactly opposite of one another, meaning her sun is in the gate 11 and Earth at the gate 12, and mine is the exact opposite. So from my position sitting here now in Sagittarius, looking back over to where the Earth is now sitting in the same gate that it would be in my birth chart, I'm thinking to myself, well, what is a good combination of words to put what this energy is all about? And it immediately came to me, and then it was validated for me when I was doing some research on the gate 11, and that's magical realism. And sometimes magical realism, think about that. Magical realism. Sometimes we get so caught up into the realism part, right? The part that's, oh, you know, we have to only create what is, you know, real, that everything that we see is the reality, that everything we can taste, touch, feel, or sense, you know, with our five senses is real. And then that leaves out the entire unseen realm, right? The potential for magic and the potential for wonder and awe. And if you really come right down to it, as we move into 2020, the magic and the awe and the wonderment is the gate that Saturn and Pluto, eventually Jupiter, are all going to be sitting at. But in its lowest expression, it's the gate of psychosis. And the psychosis is that we only tap into, you know, one part of ourselves. So when the sun moves into the gate 11, which, by the way, sits up on the ajna, and I should have drawn up a chart for the human design this week, and I didn't. God knows what I was thinking this morning, right? So when the sun comes to sit at the gate 11, we have this opportune time to tap into the light of a higher order, the bigger realms, the more unseen realms, and bring in, if you will, the light. I don't know how else to put this except to say to bring in the light of magic, the light of the mystical, the light of wonder and awe, and ground it into the physical realm. So it makes me think, you know, of people. I'm you know, talking to people that are angel readers. I'm talking to people who do oracle card readings, and you know, what is it that they're tapping into? What is it that I tap into at times? What is it that you are tapping into when you have those aha moments, or when you have that magical moment? Well, you're tapping into the unseen realm. Often there's no way to put it to a scientific sort of explanation. And to do that then robs you of the magic in the moment. So this is a week to remember the magic. And the sun and moon in fire to start the week reminds us that we're the creators of the magic, right? That we can always tap into it, that it's always there, it's always available. We just tend to bring it in through the field of logic, or through this we're on a physical planet, so it must be real. And then we miss the magic. We miss the fun of living in a magical universe. So the sun today is in a trine to the moon, and that means, again, a nice flow of energy, but it's also an energy that's yearning a bit for adventure, for exploration, for the fun and for the magic. It's about reaching beyond our limited idea of who we are, our limited self, and tapping into the more creative energy that we are carrying. So while we have this square energy of Mars. We have a trine with the sun. And literally, when the moon goes into the void this afternoon, it leaves us with that trine to the sun and leaves us with an extended period of time to express the energy of creativity, to tap into the magic. So it is, it is up to us. Do we want to see the beauty in the world, or do we want to see the ugly in the world? I mean, it really comes down to a choice of what do you want to see, what do you want to tap into, who do you want to be, and how do you want to show up? It doesn't mean that life won't be stressful. It doesn't mean that we won't have relationship issues or financial issues or health issues or any of the other issues that come up in the world. But it does mean that we can always default back to the magical that is showing up. And, what am I learning from whatever it is that I'm experiencing here in the moment? So I'm going to check outside here again. Debbie, good morning to you. Amy Moore says, yes, weekend went by so fast that I almost missed the show, thinking it was still Sunday, but I made it. Good morning. I was saying this to my husband this morning. Why is it that on Saturday morning or on Sunday morning, I roll out of bed at 6 a.m., just like wide-eyed and wonder, I'm ready for the weekend, whatever it is. But when it comes to Monday morning, I wake up same time I do on the weekend, but I'm like, I gotta get up. I think it's a difference between having to get up because you have someplace to go, something to do, a demand upon your time, and the weekend where maybe there's not so much time demand. I don't know, but it was pretty funny. I still got up and still, did my morning routine. But good morning, Colleen. Good morning, Marissa. Good morning, Kathy Miller. And good morning, Linda. Kathy Miller says, good morning. Just had a complete turnaround of my plans for the day. I am watching my great-grandson unexpectedly. How did I clean house with 3 kids running around? I don't know. It's funny because I look at that myself. I raised 4 kids and I had a full-time job. And how did I do that? Because now I would be like insane trying to do that. Linda Marie, good morning to you. So hopefully everybody got the information about the moon. There's one minor scritchy sort of kind of burr underneath your saddle kind of transit going on today. And really, it's not a horrible one. It's Mars in a semi-square to Jupiter. A semi-square is a 45-degree angle between the planets. Full-on square is 90 degrees, and it represents the full-on challenge that you have to work with the energies between the 2 planets. A semi-square means that there's just something maybe that you can't quite put your finger on that's irritating to you or causing a sort of feeling of being ill at ease but not knowing why. Well, today's ill at ease little play is between Mars and Jupiter. Mars, again, playing a pretty profound role today with the square to the moon and now with a semi-square to Jupiter. And this is energy that wants to be impulsive, that wants to be, it's excitable energy where you can get excited about something, but is it excited in the positive or is it excited by, into anger? It's just excitable energy. And it's enthusiastic energy too. It could be, very excited about doing something fun, about expressing yourself creatively. But on the other hand, it can be energy that becomes more reactive and more impulsive. So along with this other creative energy that's going on this week, starting today, what is it that you want to create? Be mindful of what it is that you're doing. And, instead of that creative energy coming in and disrupting full on your life, let it come in and then you can choose what it is that you want to use of that energy to create. And really, it's minor. In the grand scheme of things, it's minor. It's more, like I said, just that little irritation that you experience in the day. And again, it moves on and kind of leaves you maybe with, maybe you're wondering, like, what do I want to apply it to? What do I want to, where do I want to put this energy? But it doesn't have to be something that is really negative. It could be really positive in helping you crystallize what it is that your heart is wanting from you, or what your soul, tapping into your soul's energy. And literally, that is it for the day. that is it for the day. And as I looked through what was going on for this week, it's a quieter week. We have one big thing coming toward the end of the week. It'll bridge between the 19th and the 20th, so Thursday and Friday. And that is Venus moving out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. That's one planet out of Capricorn, just as the next day, the winter solstice brings the sun into Capricorn. So we lose one planet, but we gain another. And Venus in Aquarius is on, like I said, the bridge between Thursday and Friday. So Venus takes on her more quirky energy, and she becomes more of the genius energy. She puts on her lab coat and her glasses, and she gets to work creating something out of nothing, perhaps, or creating a humanitarian effort. Who knows what she focuses on, but it's not the more disciplined energy of Capricorn anymore. It's more of the lifting of that earth energy into air energy, and it becomes a sharing of ideas and maybe even changes sort of the energy within your relationships, right? Venus rules our relationships. The only day this week that really looks like it's going to have any major energy is going to be Wednesday. But it's Thursday, with Mars squaring or sextiling Saturn and Mercury squaring Neptune. Those aren't big, heavy hitting kinds of energies, although Mars in a sextile to Saturn can be a day where we get a lot done. So I think, and not only that, the moon on that day will be transitioning from Virgo over to Libra, setting us up for relationship energy as we end the week, moving us out of the energy of that work-focused. But it looks like a week that we can get things done. We're on a creative energy surge, if you will, and we're living on energy that comes in the form of light. And what is that light doing with us, doing for us, showing us? Then on, of course, Saturday, the winter solstice occurs when the sun moves into Capricorn at 8:19 p.m. my time, so 11:19 p.m. for you all on the East Coast, so well into the evening. So we wake up Sunday in the full-on energy of winter. We'll be in the shortest day of the year for us in the Northern Hemisphere. It will be the first day of summer for you all below the equator. And in down under, it will happen that the sun in Capricorn represents your high time, your summer. It's always interesting to think about the opposites, that it's like looking at things upside down. So for instance, we think of summer as the harvest, not the harvest, but the fullness of things, right? Where the trees are blossoming, the fruit on the trees is getting riper, or the flowering of the trees has led to the fullness of the season. And that happens for us in summer, which is exactly opposite of where we are right now, while the people in Australia or in the southern hemisphere are experiencing their summer now. So Capricorn energy for us in the northern hemisphere represents the cave, the going in, and the dealing with the things that we have to deal with. But on the other hemisphere, the energy of Capricorn is about fullness. It seems like it has two different faces, if you will, at this particular seasonal time. And the seasonal change in your human design is the harbinger of the next turning of the season. So if you think about your human design year as kind of, we'll use the same thing with plants and the planting time and all of that. The winter is the barren time. Everything goes into quietness. It's, pooling its energy perhaps for what comes next, which would be in the spring. Well, in human design, it's the same way. We have the spring, we have the summer, we have the harvest in the fall, and then we have the low time or the barren time, the cave time in the winter. And the winter solstice then becomes the next turn of the seasons through the vessels of love. And it will be on, I'll tell you when exactly, the 21st? Yep, on the 20th, excuse me. And I don't have an exact time. I'm guessing it's going to be at the same time as the turning of the season that we move into the next iteration of the gates of love, which is going to be the love of self, and the love of humanity. So it becomes a season of focusing on love. And the earth, of course, is the one that will be at gate 15, which is about the love of humanity. And it also has an energy of rhythm and tradition to it. So that's kind of interesting to see as we look ahead for the week. Now, through today, though, we start the week with the human design sun at gate 11, the gate of light. In the gene keys, it is in its highest expression light. In the gift, it is idealism, but in the shadow, it's obscurity. And this is where the trouble is, I think, for us, is that we don't see the light, right? We're in this obscure place, this darkness. And in that darkness, we don't really see what our heart's desires are. We more see what it is that the shadow of fears, the shadows and the fear energy on the planet shows us, that we have to be a certain type of person, and we have to make a certain amount of money, and we have to work a certain number of hours, and then we're tying more and more albatrosses around our neck that are weighing us down as we move through, instead of focusing on that one little pinpoint of creative light. And how if you focus on something, you're magnifying it or you're magnetizing it. So what are you focusing on? That becomes a good question. The earth at the gate 12 is a very creative energy. It sits in the stream of creativity in human design, or what we would call the energy of expression, self-expression. So we have the gate 12 kind of stimulating our creative energies, while the gate 11, the sun, focusing our ability to shine the light on those creative energies. So our heart's desires meet up with creative energies. That's the energy for the week. Not bad, if you ask me, right? I think that one's pretty much a good one to think about. What is it that you really want to focus on in your life? Dawn says, feeling that stuck energy you mentioned with my partner, neither one of us can yield to the other. A tough weekend. Lord, bless you, because I know what you're thinking. And there's a couple of people out there that I've heard from that are having those issues. And good morning to you, Latricia, as well. So maybe focusing, instead on focusing what's the problem or what it is that that you don't like about one another, or that you don't like about the relationship, where's the light in the relationship? Often with relationship energy, we talk about, going back to the time that you fell in love, and what was that? And can you reconnect your heart with that energy as opposed to all of the other stuff, right? There, I'm not going to tell you that there haven't been fights or that there's not issues between you or things that, where you don't see eye to eye. But before that happened, there was something else. And what was that, right? Can you tap into that energy? And then from there, that stimulates the heart and opens up the heart, right? Pull your shoulders back and allow more light into the heart center. And relationships are our mirrors. So think of every relationship you have, from your children to your spouse, to your friends, to your coworkers, as mirrors. And every one of those mirrors is showing you something true or false about you, right? Something that you believe is, usually it's the good things that you see in the mirror that are the things that are true about you. And the things that you see in the mirror that you don't like about other people are the things that you are afraid of in your own self, right? That maybe you have to work with deeper. So, Dawn, when you say that neither one of you can yield to the other, what is it, instead of yielding, what can you create together, right? What mutually acceptable thing can you create together that makes sense, that feels good to both of you, that satisfies both of you? There's cooperation and a little bit of compromise and that type of thing that comes up. And be creative, find creative solutions. Don't just keep looking in the mirror and seeing the negative, or look in the mirror, see the negative, and go, by contrast, what would I like to create? Because often that tells you something too. If you don't like what you see out there in your relationships or mirrors, then there's something that you can do to change that. Change what you're seeing. Change your perspective, right? We still have Mars in Scorpio. Remember the energy of being able to climb to the higher perception or seeing from a higher point of view, where you can get more energy, you can get more information, seeing it from a different perspective. So raise your perspective. And that doesn't mean that you don't have problems. It doesn't mean that there isn't an issue. It just means that I'm choosing to see this differently. And you know what? You can't change your spouse. None of you can change those people in your lives that you have issues with. All you can really do is work on you. So even though you may see somebody that's out there not, doing something correct, or somebody that's hurting your feelings or that you're having a tough time with, you can't change that. All you can really change is your reaction to that and your choice in the moment of how am I going to handle this? How am I going to show up in this relationship right now? And I know in the moment, in the heat of the battle, if you're in the moment of an argument or of a fight or of a disagreement, it's difficult to remember that, but try to remember that. Try to see things from the other perspective. Maybe the exact thing that you are having an argument about is something that you've been rejecting within your own self. So be creative in how you solve your problems with people. All right, if we look at the Pleiadian energy for today, it is 7 illuminating, 7 being the number that is representing the universal energy of the day. So whatever life form you are and whatever planet you're on in our universe, this is the energy you would be working with, and it is the energy of merging. It is the energy of bringing differences in, merging them with yourself, and the possibility of then something else coming from that. It doesn't mean that it's okay for other people to hurt you or harm you. That isn't it at all. It's just being able to see the other point of view, merging. And then illuminating, of course, interesting because it suggests light, and it's the light of curiosity and creativity. So interesting that we have a lot of that energy today and looking like we're going into that more and more as the week goes on. Curiosity meaning the sharing of ideas, finding out more, right? Curiosity is really nothing more than finding out more. I always like it to think of it as pulling threads. Like one thought leads to another, one idea leads to another, and before you know it, you have opened your mind and perhaps even opened your heart, and you're seeing things in a new way. So being curious, being creative, and that's favored through the Pleiadian-Earth energy of the day as well. Literally, that is it for me today. It's a pretty easy day. There wasn't a whole lot I could talk about, in terms of the day, the week. And I really didn't have as much time as I would have liked to have prepared this morning. Just a lot going on. It's Christmas time, right? Lots going on in our personal lives as well. Questions. If you guys have questions, this would be a good time to do that because I have the time and the space for it this morning. For those of you who listened in to the Astrology of 2020 webinar, do you have questions about that, about 2020? Pretty soon here, I'm going to put out the human design. We're going to do the exact same thing for human design and the gene keys, looking at it from that perspective. And I will be doing that likely either the last week of the month or the first week in January after we get through the Christmas holidays. And it's a completely different perspective, right? We get to look at it through then the hologram, right? We look at it through the shadow, the gift, and the siddhi or the highest frequency, and kind of put things in a new perspective. That's a great way to look at that. And let's see, Marissa says, good morning. Will you be pulling an HD card for the week? I could do that, sure. What do you mean by HD? Wisdom of the Oracle, maybe? Or, let's do that. Why not? You're talking about these ones, right? So let me see if I can find the card for number 11. Because the sun is at 11. And, so I should have done that earlier. Thanks, Marissa. There's 10. Of course, I don't have them in numerical order. Oh. Good. Here's 12. I think we talked about 12 before, but I don't know why we would have done that. Maybe this summer. 22, 6. And it's interesting to me because 11 is a number of illumination, right? In numerology, it's illumination, it's light. It's a master number that sees sort of the higher perspective. Okay, so you're going to make me go through all these cards to find it, huh? There we go. I think we've had her before. I think we read this one with when Jupiter was sitting at the gate 11. Idealism. Idealism and discrimination. These are the two that we have for today. So since the Earth is sitting at discrimination, let's take a look at that one first. Good. Okay, 12. So let me show you the card once more. Look at the butterflies he has on his forehead. His third eye, the full moon. Interesting, right? So the 12 says, to discriminate is to know inherently what and who is healthy for you. The gift is discrimination, the shadow is vanity, and the siddhi is purity. And let's see, from birth, I was recognized as an old, wise soul. It pained me to see the brutality and maliciousness of humanity, and it was easy for me to see through the fears and folly of the people around me. Instinctively, I knew there was more to life, so I launched my spiritual search. For years, I studied with wise teachers, watched my thoughts, and mastered my emotions. As I progressed, my mind became clear, my expressions artful, and my communication immaculate. Everyone commented on my impressively calm and agreeable nature. I looked around me and saw people consumed by misguided efforts to look good and appear successful. I watched them blindly clinging to limited beliefs and systems, and I felt grateful that I was no longer caught up in such a sad, futile game. Until it hit me. Beneath my gratitude was pride, and even deeper than that, a subtle and elitist disdain for those who hadn't achieved the level of spiritual awareness and non-attachment that I had. The very vanity I saw in the world lived in me. With this realization came the next. The more I tried to transcend or reject my own vanity, the more subtly it shapeshifted and held fast to me. Once I befriended my very human need to feel special, I was able to appreciate its tremendous gifts and the essential role it plays in our shared creative evolution. My gift to you. I want you to know that vanity is a necessary, beautiful part of being human. Without a love of your uniqueness, how could you possibly unfold your intelligent wings, rejoice in your personal power, or come to know and express your most wonderful qualities? In the end, we will all discover that if we truly love ourselves, we must love everyone, for we are all one. But for now, I invite you to stop obsessing about what you can and should do to get rid of your vanity. Instead, allow yourself to fall in love with your own authenticity and the authenticity in others. Learn to discriminate the real from the false and who and what is healthy for you. Transform your innate desire to improve yourself into an art form and speak from the heart. The rest will take care of itself. Questions for contemplation. What masks do you wear in your everyday life? What do you fear or hope might happen if you took off the mask? How does your inner elitist express itself? Do you sometimes think that you are more evolved than others? Do you keep these thoughts to yourself, or do they sometimes leak out with malice? Be honest. Do you have a good sense of discrimination? Do you know who or what is healthy for you? How do you know this? Start listening to your voice when you speak. Notice how much of your pure heart is in what you say. If there's a lack of heart, there may be a form of vanity present that isn't serving you. Nice one, right? That one gives me lots of food for thought. Allison says, could you pull an animal spirit for the collective? I think I will. Joanne McKisson, hello, cousin. Great to see you. I think you must be in California right now, huh? Have a great time. I'm going to pull a Wisdom of the Oracle card and a Spirit Animal card. How's that? All right. So this is for the week, for the collective, for all of us. And we get Between Worlds. So we have the flamingo Between Worlds. Look, he's part in color and part in black and white, gray. Card number 3, and it was initially upside down. So we have that. Let's take a look at what that one means. I think we've had this one before, but we're not quite launched yet. So we have the essential meaning of transitions, not being quite out of one situation and fully engaged in another, temporary blindness, or a no man's land. And the protection message says, be mindful of your expectations. This is not a time for guarantees. Things will not go exactly as you plan or dictate. Let go and see what Spirit has in store. What takes hold in your life will be better than you can imagine. Let go. So hard. Because I want it to be my way. Now let's have an animal card to help us. Do you guys want a goddess card too? I have that deck sitting next to me as well. Sure, I will do that for you, Marissa. Okay, this is for us for an animal card. She asked me to post the questions for contemplation that we just read. And I will do that. Ooh, I totally feel like I'm not grounded here. So, oh, we get the hummingbird. Card number 34, which is the 7. That's interesting because that matches the day. And it says, be here now. Hard to do when you're feeling a little lightheaded. And card 34. And just, I mean, look at the color kind of matches what I'm wearing here today. I dressed for the hummingbird. And of course, that's the symbol for my website too, for my business, the hummingbird. And 39, or 34, excuse me. 34 says, be here now. And it was right side up. Says, the hummingbird's wings beat so swiftly it can hover in seeming stillness as it drinks deeply from a flower. Hummingbird spirit comes to remind you that the beauty and sweetness of life is in the eternal now, the timeless present. Here and now, you are becoming the person you wish to be, to have the experiences you wish to have. Focus your energy on the flower before you, for what you desire is being provided. Yes, there are blossoms everywhere. The choices can be dazzling. Hummingbird Spirit's message is that you have no need to go about in search of something better, for all that you require and desire is before you. You will know this as you become still, feeling your connection to Spirit, who loves you unconditionally and will always provide for you. Love that one. All right, so how's that? Feels good to me. Monique Alexander, good morning to you. Haven't seen you in a while. And I guess that is it for me today. I just don't feel the need to just sit here and fill up space talking when I don't really have anything that I'm inspired to talk about at the moment. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I will see you here tomorrow morning, and we'll see what Spirit moves me to do tomorrow. Same thing for you all, right? What's in front of you that you want to do? In the meantime, take care, everyone. See you tomorrow morning.